The next lesson plan may be one of the most important lesson plans in the entire manual. It's communication skills. That's lesson plan 11. You'll note that there is nothing written behind demonstration or typed behind demonstration, which means there are no pink sheets for this, no competency sheets, but it is a critical skill that you need to be competent in. How do you effectively communicate with other members of the team? So the things that we'll talk about are how we use our senses to communicate with people and to understand what people are trying to tell us. We'll again review age-related changes to the sensory system and the challenges that they can give us for residents. We'll look at verbal and nonverbal communication. And we'll have some demonstrations there so that you can understand how clearly nonverbal can be at times. We'll talk about how to promote effective communication, correct ways to use the telephone, the difference between hearing and listening, and also we'll look at the residents and what they may have trouble communicating. And how do you communicate with a resident when there's a difficulty or there's a deficit? You know, I want you to have some compassion here, and I think it's necessary for your understanding to really open your heart to this lesson plan. Imagine that all your life you've been pretty vocal and you have a stroke. And when you wake up, you have a million things you want to tell the doctor, the nurse, your family. But when you go to open your mouth, the message you want to say is clear in your mind, but your mouth won't work. Now, what emotions come to mind when thinking about that? Terror, fear, anger? Why me, God? Why? Why is this me? You have to be able to look at the resident and understand what they may be going through, and just how difficult not being able to communicate can make your life. And we also have to stop using the stereotype that if I can't speak, that means that I don't have my mental faculties, or that I'm confused. I may be able to hear every word you say and understand it clear to my heart. It doesn't mean if I don't respond to you that I'm crazy, or that you can say whatever you want to say, because it won't make any difference anyway. What you say can still touch me. Communication probably causes, and I've been lecturing on this for a long time, 90% of the problems that we have in long-term care today when it comes to deficiencies and when it comes to malpractice and liability and being sued. Let me give you a really good example, and my seminar participants tell me they like my war stories, so I'll give you a war story. About 5 years ago, I had a legal case in which the attorney asked me to review a death in a facility. And it was the facility's attorney that asked me to look at it. It was not the family's attorney. And it was in the state of Mississippi. And so I got the case, and in a nutshell, this is what happened. The family called social services on a Friday afternoon, which is already, put red flags up, concern. They were at their wits' end. They could not handle mom and her dementia any longer. And when social services asked them what the problems were, the biggest problem was she was eating inappropriate objects, and they could not keep enough people watching her to make sure she didn't eat something that would harm herself. And so their question was, can you keep mom from eating inappropriate objects? Social services' response was, yes, we have a secured Alzheimer's unit just for that kind of thing. And so she accepted the resident and admitted them. She wrote in her social service notes that the resident was being admitted due to dementia and confusion and eating inappropriate objects. The problem is she went home, and none of the nursing staff read any of the social service entries. So We get through fine Friday night and Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon, the CNA walked in and found the resident unresponsive on the bathroom floor. When they went to do vital signs, she was pulseless and without breathing. They called a code, 911, CPR, you'll learn various terms, and called the ambulance. When EMTs arrived and they went to put the intubation tube down, they pulled out a latex glove that she had eaten and had gotten caught in her airway, which suffocated her. The EMTs were not able to revive her. She died. Now, what is the root cause of that problem? It was communication. It shouldn't have happened. It was just an oversight. But I can tell you the pain that that social service worker felt, that that family felt, that the CNAs and the nursing staff felt. It's a pain that'll last an awful long time when you know that there might have been something you could have done to have had this not happen. And that's only one war story. I can give you a lot of others, and I'll tell you some as we go in the chapter. Okay? So having said that, let's get started.